Next up, we unfortunately have to play a pre-recorded talk because our next speaker had a last-minute emergency come up. So, wishing Joe the best, but thankfully was able to provide us with a recording so that we can still share this, which is, next up we're going to have Joseph Hewitt, who is the creator of GearHead, Dungeon Monkey, and Dead Cold, which are some pretty cool roguelikes. Originally from Newfoundland, living in South Korea in the last century, who's a programmer, a cartoonist, and also, importantly, a theatrical special effects designer and operator, and is going to talk about magic and how misdirection and magic can apply to player attention in game design. So let's cue up that talk.
Hi there. My name is Joseph Hewitt, and I'm the developer of GearHead, Dungeon Monkey, and a bunch of other projects which you probably have never heard of. Today, I'm going to talk about magic and game development. What is magic? Magic is illusion. It's the act of making your audience see something that didn't really happen, or conversely, to not see something that did happen. As the great philosopher Chico Marx said, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? So magic is especially applicable to computer games because, after all, what is a computer game? Computer game is an illusion. When viewed from a certain perspective, a computer game is nothing but an extremely large number. Through this number, people can experience the illusion of adventuring in a fantasy world, or piloting a giant robot, or working on a farm and marrying a dude named Sebastian. The point being, this is all make-believe. It's all an illusion. And being able to craft an illusion, this skill is particularly relevant to roguelike development, especially in terms of procedural generation. Procedural generation is conjuring new worlds from thin air, making up stuff that did not exist before and technically does not exist now. So I'm going to tell you about 4 of the principles of stage magic: attention, misdirection, simulation, and performance, and show how these can be applied to game development. To do this, I'm going to do the stupidest card trick in the world. This card trick is so easy and so stupid that you can even program a computer to do it. I'm going to ask you to bear with me and play along because I'm about to do something that's absolutely ludicrously impossible. I am going to read your mind. Okay, so right here I have this perfectly normal deck of playing cards, as you can see, and I shuffle them like this, and then I draw a hand of 8 cards, like that. Okay, so I have this hand of 8 cards. I lay them on the table face down. It doesn't matter which cards they are. Any cards will do. Now in a second, I'm going to flip the cards over and show them to you. What I want you to do is to choose one card and remember it. Here they are. Focus on your card. The problem with this trick is that people often forget which card they picked. You got it? All right. Right now, I take the cards back and I shuffle them. I want you to think about the card you picked. Think really loud because, your thoughts have to reach me all the way over here in Korea. I take one card, randomly selected from the hand, and I discard it. That card gets placed face down on the table. Then I drive a wooden stake through the card, douse it with gasoline, set it on fire, and scatter the ashes in the Tewa River. Now that may seem like overkill, but as you all know, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing right. I then lay the remaining 7 cards on the table face up. At this point, you will see that the card you picked is the card I removed. Whoa. So right now, half of you are going, how did he do that? And the other half are going, he's right, that is the world's stupidest card trick. And that's okay. Let's start with the first principle of magic, attention. A magician focuses the audience's attention on what the magician wants the audience to see. In the case of this card trick, I asked you to concentrate on just one card, to focus on that one card. And this is because if you focused on 2 cards, if you remembered any other card in that deck, the trick would not have worked. Attention has probably the most obvious application to game design because it is UI programming, user interface. What do you want the player to know? What do you want the player to do? You have to direct the player's attention to let them know what they're supposed to know and let them do what they are supposed to do. You give them the tools to interact with this information in a way that supports the illusion of the game world you're trying to create. A problem I often see with my game design students is that they come up with a brilliant core mechanic and then their test players completely miss that because they didn't draw the attention to it in the way that they should have. Be aware of your player's attention and point that attention where you want it or need it. The flip side of attention is misdirection. Attention and misdirection are like 2 sides of the same card. See what I did there? This is when you get the audience to look over there while you're doing something nefarious with your left hand. In the case of the world's stupidest card trick, I used misdirection to distract you, while I swap out the original 8-card hand with a completely separate 8-card hand that I had prepared before doing the trick, if we were doing it face-to-face. In the digital version, I also used misdirection when telling you the story about, staking the card and burning it and throwing it in the river. The practical purpose of that story is to give you a little bit of extra time to forget all the other cards that you might have seen when I turned them all over. So you only remember the one card that you were focused on. I hate to give you spoilers for a 9-year-old game, but one title that uses misdirection brilliantly is Undertale. At the beginning of the game, the player is led to expect that this is going to be sort of a normal JRPG type adventure, when in fact, as you get later into the game, you realize it is a completely different sort of thing. Misdirection is a lot of fun in game design. You can use it to lead the player astray. You can use it to set up surprises and big reveals. You get the player used to a certain rhythm. And then you break the expectation, you do something unexpected, and they're like, oh, I never saw that coming. Of course you didn't. I was leading your attention in one direction while I was planning something nefarious somewhere else. It can also be used to obfuscate the game mechanics you want to be a little bit mysterious. Usually in a game, we want to give the player all the information, but not always. Sometimes you might like to keep a little bit of that information secret. So, the player thinks everything is going the way they think it's going, but it's not. It's going the way you think it's going, because you were the magician, the game designer. Anyway, that's misdirection. The third one, simulation. This is a big one. I could have done the entire talk on simulation, and now I'm speaking so quickly, I kind of regret that I didn't do it all on simulation. What is simulation? Simulation is the idea that in magic at least, simulation is the idea that what we are seeing is some kind of objective reality. And of course it isn't. We just covered that. What you are seeing is what the magician wants you to see. It's the same in a computer program. Getting back to the world's stupidest card trick. From the beginning of the trick to the end of the trick, I was lying to you. I was lying. That's what magicians do. I was creating a false reality to replace the actual reality that was happening. When I drew a hand of 8 cards and I said, oh, these could be any cards, that was a lie. I had prepared the 8 cards beforehand and substituted them in for the cards from the deck. When I was discarding a card from the original hand, it was not the original hand, it was the second hand of cards. I was lying to you. And I told you this would be the card that you picked. That was a lie. The second hand of cards were all different from the first hand of cards. But your mind, you have a mental simulation of the world. You believe that things are real. Because of this mental simulation, you assume that the cards that I'm telling you, oh yeah, these are the cards that were just on the table, are actually the cards that were just on the table. We do this a lot in daily life. Your brain fills in gaps in information when you don't have perfect knowledge or perception of the world around you. There's an important point for game design. You may have heard the phrase suspension of disbelief. When you're creating a game world, you want the player to suspend their disbelief and buy into the illusion that you are creating. And this is an important point. The player, just like you, knows that it's a lie. The player is working with you. It's the player's imagination that is doing a lot of the heavy lifting to build this game world. Because they want to be entertained. I mean, nobody in the audience, as far as I know, actually believes that I can read your mind. I don't look like the kind of guy who can read your mind. But many of you bought into that lie just because you wanted to be entertained, and I hope I did entertain you with that. Look at games like Bloodborne or Yume Nikki, where very little concrete information is given, but the player still constructs this elaborate fantasy world from the little scraps of information that they get while playing. That is the power of simulation. You want to have points in the game that stimulate the imagination and let the player do a little bit of the heavy lifting for you. The last point, performance. As game developers, we are programmers. Many of us are, not all of us are programmers, many of us are programmers. We tend to look at things as technical problems. This is not always the best way to look at it. The presentation, the way you do something can be as important as what you're doing. Many of the greatest magicians in the world don't have any great tricks. They do tricks that are very easy to figure out. but their performance elevates the tricks to a new level. So, yeah. One of the main things about thinking about stage magic when thinking about game design is that you have to keep the player in your mind at all times. You are thinking, what do I want the player to experience? How can I give them this aesthetic experience? And that's all the time I have for today. Thank you very much. Remember, don't believe everything you see, but have fun with game design. Goodbye.